This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Wisconsin Live Desk. My name is Nicola Junowitz. It is Monday, November 17th at 12:32 p.m. We've got lots to get to this morning or this afternoon. First and foremost, we are going to check in with one of our fabulous reporters, Durante Matthews. He's on a really big story today in regards to the Sturtevant Police Department closing. He's working on that for our evening newscast, so we're going to check in with him as soon as he gets dialed in here. Then this afternoon, in about a half an hour or so, we're going to check in with our weather experts. Steph, what was that, Delaney? Okay, so we're getting ready to take Durante here in a matter of seconds. Then this afternoon, right around 1 o'clock, we're going to check in with our weather expert, Stephanie Barrichello. She is going to talk to us about this massive temperature drop that we've experienced here in southeast Wisconsin over the last 48 hours or so. The weekend was really a tale of two seasons. On Saturday, we pushed 70 degrees, breaking records for that day. And then on Sunday, it was a much different story. Our temperatures plummeted. And today we are waking up and it was in the upper 20s, low 30s. Right now we are sitting at 43 degrees in Milwaukee. This evening, we could be seeing a wintry mix in the area as well. So she's going to break all of that down for us. Looking forward to that. Always love hearing from Steph. Now it looks like Durante's ready. Is that right, Delaney? Okay, beautiful. Okay, so let's bring in our fabulous reporter, Durante Matthews here, if we can. And Durante, I don't know if you can hear me or not. Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, beautiful. Hey, Durante, so fill in our lovely Wisconsin Live Desk viewers on what you're working on today.
Hey there. So right now I'm out here in the village of Sturtevant, and we're here because there's been a lot of things happening over the weekend. The biggest thing is, yesterday on Sunday, the actual police department, it closed, and law enforcement services with this police department officially ended. That was a decision that's kind of been months in the making. They've been going back and forth over this in a couple of meetings at the village board, and this was the board's decision to just effectively end services with the actual police department. And the goal is to have the Racine County Sheriff's Department actually step in and fill this void right now. So when you hear that, you know, the municipal services such as police department is actually ending. One of the biggest questions is, okay, why? Why is this happening? So today we actually just spoke with the village administrator, and he mentioned that this was mainly because of finances and liabilities / insurance services, basically to get rid of that part of their insurance. So we talked to him a little bit about finances, like how does this help? And we looked at, and he actually mentioned this, we looked in the budget for last year, and the police department portion in the budget cost just over $2 million. So that's a big chunk that they're actually eliminating from their budget. So we said, okay, well, once you eliminate this police department, how much is it going to cost to contract from the Racine County Sheriff's Office, if we're really talking about numbers here? And he mentioned hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they actually have a proposed budget that we're going to look into just to compare to make sure that that's actually accurate. So this is kind of a cost-saving method that they have decided to actually go with.
Okay, yeah, Durante, I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. We're seeing this not only at the Sturtevant Police Department, we've also seen that, with West Allis and Wauwatosa and their decision to merge their fire departments. Obviously, the big question that I can imagine that's on residents' minds in Sturtevant is what this means for their response times. Should they, God forbid, need police help? Do you know, will their times be impacted? Will it take longer for officers to come help?
So that's a question that we're actually saving for the Racine County Sheriff's Office when we head out there to speak with them. I did ask the administrator that. He didn't really have an answer. He deferred that over to the county. So that's something that we're going to ask them as well, because you're right. The big thing on people's minds right now is safety and response times. How is our safety going to be impacted by losing services right here if you're contracting things in? So how this is going to look, and I can shed a little light on what this will actually look like. So right now we're in a bit of an interim phase right now. They want to contract with the sheriff's office, but they haven't actually signed a contract yet. So their goal when they do that is to have 2 officers on each shift. So they have 3 shifts. So that's, from my understanding, about 6 throughout the day. And right now they already have deputies patrolling the area. So they do have a police response here. It's just not with the actual police department. Okay, got it. Have you talked to anyone in the community? Have they filled you in on kind of how they're feeling about this? Did they see it coming? Did they have warning? Kind of walk us through that aspect of it. So the writing has been on the wall for a couple of months now, because this is a topic that has come at board meetings here in Sturtevant over the past couple of months. So they knew that it was a possibility that this would happen. However, once the police department, they actually shared a post on Facebook, I want to say on Friday, that for sure this was happening and services were ending. So over the weekend, we have heard from a couple of folks who were actually shocked that it happened, and it happened so fast, because this isn't really something that they foresaw actually coming to fruition, Sure. But now that we're here, so their next step is, okay, this has happened. It was shocking. We kind of had inklings that it would, but now that we're here, what's next?
Yeah, and that is what you were working to find out on our evening news tonight. Durante, when can our viewers look forward to seeing your reports tonight?
So we'll have a full report for you guys coming up at 5 o'clock tonight. And, of course, it's going to be online afterwards. So we'll have that for you. Stay tuned. All
right. Durante, thank you so much. I'll let you get back to news gathering. Thank you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right. Wonderful. Okay. So, as you just heard there, this is kind of came as a bit of a shock to people who live in Sturtevant. So I want to give you a little more information that I'm getting right now from our website on this story. So the police department closed on Sunday. That's when the sheriff's office officially took over public safety for Sturtevant. That was effective, Sunday, November 16th at 6:15 a.m. That's when the Racine County Sheriff's Office took over. All the calls that you make to Sturtevant Police are going to get forwarded to Racine County Sheriff's Office. So all law enforcement questions, obviously, as we've been reporting, a lot of people have questions about this. This came as kind of a surprise to a lot of people. You can call Sturtevant Village Hall at 262-886-7201. If you need to report a crime or an incident, you can call the Racine County Sheriff's Office dispatch line. That number is 262-886-2300. Or, of course, if you have an emergency, you are always asked to call 911. So this is what I want to read to you what the Village of Sturtevant Police Department posted on their Facebook page. They said, quote, "We want to extend our deepest gratitude to all of you for your years of support, partnership, and trust. Your engagement and commitment to keeping our village safe have made a lasting difference. We also want to recognize and thank the dedicated members of our law enforcement team, past and present, for their service, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to the community. This also, of course, poses the question, what will happen to the people who were, or the officers who were employed at Sturtevant Police? Will they go to another municipality? Kind of what does that mean for them? I can imagine a lot of them have families that are rooted in Sturtevant. Yeah, this was made solely by the Sturtevant Village Board. This decision was made. So, and as Durante mentioned, it's all about cost here, which we're seeing very often. Okay, so now we're going to regroup here, and then I will check right back in with you. Please stay with us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. My name is Nicola Junowitz. We're going to head to break now.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
All right, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk, everybody. Let's take a live look at it we can over at MKE. We had some pretty big updates this morning when it came to air travel heading into the Thanksgiving holiday week. So we know this morning that airlines have resumed their full flight schedules that were paused during the government shutdown. That's effective as of 5 o'clock this morning. This is a pretty big announcement because, as you might recall, air travel has just been a mess ever since the government shutdown began. Basically, the 40 U.S. airports we know were affected by these flight reductions. The goal was for the FAA to reduce air traffic by 10% across 40 high-volume markets. Now, I know you're taking a live look at MKE right now. MKE was not one of those 40 airports impacted, but if you were flying, through Milwaukee or you were connecting elsewhere, chances are you were affected by this. We did see delays and cancellations as well, even though we weren't included on that high volume list. So the cutback, looks like a Southwest flight just took off there. So this cutback was affecting thousands of flights. The FAA directs about 44,000 flights a day, and that includes commercial passenger flights, cargo planes, and private aircraft. The agency did not immediately identify, which airports or cities would be affected, but they said that they would keep this in place as long as necessary. And now we know that that was effective. Oh my gosh, this emergency order went into effect on November 5th. So it had been in effect for almost 2 weeks. And obviously, a lot of folks are getting ready to hit the road here for the busy holiday travel weekend. Air traffic controllers started working unpaid when the shutdown began on October 1st. A lot of them had been on duty for 6 days a week while putting in mandatory overtime. A lot of people called out of work just because they were frustrated. Others took on second jobs so they could collect a paycheck. Others said that, they can't come to work because they don't have money for things like childcare or gas. So that did result to flight delays and cancellations at a number of airports. I'm sorry, let's see here. Okay. Basically, by making this decision 2 weeks ago now, they weren't going to wait for an emergency situation. They didn't want to wait for us to hit a crisis point here. They said, we're not going to wait for a safety problem to truly manifest itself when the early indicators are telling us we can take action today to prevent things from deteriorating. The system, they said, was incredibly safe, and they wanted to stay that way. So basically, this was sort of taken as a proactive measure. But I know a lot of folks were really concerned that this would last through Thanksgiving, because that is, of course, one of the busiest travel days or travel weekends of the year. United, Southwest, and American all worked to minimize the impact, but they also had to cut their schedules to comply. So this was something that really affected a lot of people here. Let me just kind of see exactly how many flights. There we go. Okay, yeah, so this is officially lifted now. Kind of good timing here with Thanksgiving being next week. Let's see here. Oh, this is kind of interesting. I didn't realize that space launches were also impacted by this. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. Let's see here. What do you guys see here? Okay, so now the focus is turning to controller hiring and also getting brand new equipment. Okay, so at one point we went down to a 3% reduction in operations through the weekend. But it was as high as 6% during the shutdown. Okay, a 0.25% cancellation rate, 91% on-time departures. That was as of yesterday. Okay, so things really got better over the weekend. That 91% on-time departure was actually above average for performance, so that's kind of interesting. 13,000 air traffic controllers were forced to work without pay for more than a month, overstretching the already overworked and understaffed air traffic control system. Okay, this was tens of thousands of flight cancellations and delays here. But it looked like disruption started to improve right as they reached a deal. Okay, 2,900 cancellations. That was effective of November 9th. Okay, so we're talking about thousands of flights here and thousands of passengers that were impacted. Okay, that is so interesting. Okay, so right now the data that they have is consistent with numbers that they were seeing before the shutdown. So another really busy travel time that we typically see is for Summerfest. And we got some exciting news today on Summerfest. Okay, so Muse is headed to Summerfest at the AMP on Thursday, July 2nd. Pre-sale starts this Thursday, but you can sign up for early access. I was actually just looking at tickets the other day to Ed Sheeran, and they are really expensive. So let's just see. Let's take a look at who's coming to Summerfest already. Okay, so here's who we have right now at the AMP. On June 16th, we have Garth Brooks. He's also going to be there on the 17th. This is kind of an interesting pre-Summerfest show because he's kind of going to kick things off. We got Ed Sheeran on Thursday the 25th. We have Post Malone on June 27th. That's a huge get. Alex Warren, is July 3rd, and then now we know the night before there's Muse on July 2nd. We know that we have Russell Dickerson coming to the festival stage. He's going to be there on June 27th. We also have Louis Tomlinson on June 26th, if you like some country acts. So, you know, we're really early in things here. But these are some really big names that Summerfest is getting this year. Let's just see, like, what are tickets right now for different things. I want to see what's going on at the AMP. Yeah, I could have sworn the other day I was looking at Ed Sheeran tickets, and they were so expensive. Loop Tour. Okay, Thursday. Boop, boop. Let's see what we got here. Okay, accept and continue. Oh my gosh. Okay, so first of all, they're like mostly sold out, to be clear. If you want to be... So like all they have is like single tickets. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's like nothing open for Ed Sheeran. This is nuts. Like if you want to go alone to Ed Sheeran, you totally can. Or you know what you could do? You could just like go with somebody and then, you know, like kind of part ways during the show. Okay. Oh, okay. I saw a bunch of seats that seemed kind of interesting to Ed Sheeran and the 200 levels, but they are limited availability, or limited viewing. Oh my gosh. I just can't believe how like sold out this show is. This is completely bananas. Okay. But like, yeah, in the 300 level, I mean, we're still talking like $166 for a standard ticket. That is wild. And I'm sure Muse is going to be no different. Although I would argue that Ed Sheeran is a slightly bigger name. Okay, let's check in now on Garth Brooks. Let's see that's on a Tuesday, which is kind of rogue for us a little bit, because usually we don't have Summerfest shows. Okay, there are a lot of tickets available for Garth Brooks for this show, but like they're super expensive. We're talking like $630 to be in the 200s. Let's see what it is if you want to be like close to the stage. I'm seeing some tickets pop. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you want to be in row G to Garth Brooks, it'll cost you $1,200 a ticket. Isn't that completely off the rails? Oh, you know what? Well, actually, I'm saying this like I have money for this. You could sit like with your friend behind you in rows D and E, but you'd still be paying $817. Like, that is insane. When did it get so expensive to go to a concert? This is wild. Okay. Anyway, lots going on with Summerfest. That's really exciting there. I just had to look at those tickets because I noticed that they've been kind of spendy. So, okay. Well, now that we have checked in with, oh, sorry. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now that we've checked in with Summerfest tickets, yeah, if you want to go to Summerfest, maybe start saving money now because you might need to do that. It is very much the hot ticket in town this year. You can also find way more information on summerfest.com/ticket info. So, okay, now we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're hopefully going to check in with our weather expert, Stephanie Barrichello, with a look at this stunning forecast. If you want to take a live look out there for you this morning at downtown Milwaukee, blue skies as far as the eye can see. It looks lovely, feels chilly, 43 degrees. I did notice, though, if you're walking down Wisconsin Avenue downtown, the chandeliers are up. That's one of my favorite little decoration traditions that Milwaukee does here for the holidays. Very festive. Okay, we are going to go to break here, and I'll see you on the other side of it.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. My name is Nicola Junowitz. It is 12:56 on your Monday, November 17th, and we are going to get a check-in now with one of our fabulous weather experts. Meteorologist Stephanie Barkello is joining us now live in the Weather Center. Hello. Steph, it is looking just so beautiful out there today, but it feels kind of chilly. Walk us through what exactly changed over the weekend where we saw a temperature drop that was this drastic.
Yeah, well, hopefully you were able to get out both Friday and Saturday.
Gorgeous.
Because it was fantastic. The amount of work we got done outside on Saturday was just fantastic. We tied the record high of 69 degrees on Friday, or excuse me, on Saturday. Friday, I believe we were in the upper 60s as well, maybe 68. So back-to-back gorgeous days. Then we had a cold front roll on in, and that dropped us to mid 40s for high temperatures on Sunday. And that's what we're looking at today as well. Now, going forward the rest of the week, hate to spoil the forecast for you, but we are going to be in the 40s and maybe low 50s. So this is going to be a cooler but more normal week ahead. We know that those upper 60s we saw Friday, Saturday, way warmer than what we're supposed to be for this time of year. It was lovely, absolutely, but this is a back to reality type of week. Now it's sunny, it's beautiful outside. You're just going to need the jacket if you're just now heading out for lunch or maybe running errands. Thankfully the wind is light, so we actually feel like those low 40s. But yes, it is a bit of a deceiving day, the sunshine making it look like it's a little warmer. But we have even more changes ahead heading into tonight and tomorrow morning. You can already see right now, this is a live view, down south in Beloit, areas towards the west and southwest of us already starting to see that increase in cloud cover. So we've got to enjoy the sun we have right now. We have a high pressure system that's working its way east now, and that's going to allow later this afternoon this cloud deck that you see just out towards the west, the Dells into Madison, almost to Fort Atkinson, to continue to move into our area. So expect increasing clouds later on this afternoon, and then we'll start to have the chance for some precip later on tonight, potentially not until closer to midnight, maybe a little bit earlier in some western communities, but there's the chance that it becomes more of a wintry mix or more of a slushy snow north and northwest of Milwaukee, creating potentially some dicey conditions for tomorrow morning's commute. Not concerned with this evening's commute at all, because it's just going to be the cloud cover starting to move in. There's not even a ton of precip out west as we speak, maybe some sprinkles across Iowa. So we're going to see more develop in the days ahead, or excuse me, in the hours ahead. You can see the system itself is out towards the west, and most of that is actually going to pass just south of us, but we're still going to be in the midst of that unsettled weather with some of that precip moving through parts of Wisconsin. So just to put it into perspective for you what to expect tomorrow. Now, Sky Vision tries to bring in a little band of some sprinkles that's right now out west in Iowa into our area later on tonight. Again, Nicola, I think this is more so going to be during our, overnight, early tomorrow morning time frame, but it does bring in that chance for some wintry mix.
Yeah, I feel like wintry mix is just a really nice way of saying, ugh. You know what I mean? It sounds so cute, but if you've experienced a wintry mix, which we all have, it's sort of like that slushy, sleety, like transitional snow.
Yeah, so I think just if you're north of Milwaukee, we're talking Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, maybe down into Washington and Ozaukee counties, wake up in the morning, check road conditions before you head out. Most of the accumulation, if we end up seeing any at all, will be on grassy surfaces, but it could still slow the morning commute down quite a bit.
All right, Steph, thank you so much for popping in to give us the update. Yeah, you could not beat Friday and Saturday. I hope you got out as well.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
All right. Thank you so much. You always are so generous with your time, and you guys do Wisconsin weather experts and all. So I'm going to let you get back to forecasting for the 4 o'clock. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
All right, Steph, thank you so much. She's always so nice to help out on the show. It really means a lot because I think weather is very important, and I can't fathom doing a show without it. Okay. So I'm going to take a quick break now. Well, I take that back. I want to show you the White House right now. And the reason for this is there's been some questions that have been popping up lately as to why the flags are still being flown at half staff. Now, the reason for this is, of course, former Vice President Dick Cheney passed away. So this is still for him. And partially, because he has not been laid to rest yet. So want to bring you some updates here because I'm not sure that it's really being widely reported, quite frankly. So Dick Cheney's funeral has been set for this Thursday. That's November 20th at 10 o'clock our time, 11 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be at the National Cathedral in D.C. It's going to be invitation only. And only those with invitations issued in advance of the service will be allowed in. There, of course, will be security measures in place for staff and guests. The public, though, is encouraged to watch the service online, and I'm sure, news organizations will be streaming it as well. There are several people, about a dozen people, who are set to speak at his memorial service. We know that George W. Bush, the 43rd President of the United States, will be speaking. We know that Dick Cheney's daughter, Liz Cheney, will also be speaking. Several of his grandchildren. Pete Williams, former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs and former NBC News Justice correspondent, will be speaking as well. I also thought I saw somewhere that Laura Bush was going to be speaking, but I'm not seeing that here. I know there have been some questions about where he would choose to be laid to rest. As of Sunday, November 16th, information about a potential burial had not been released, so that's yesterday. So we still do not know those answers yet. He was born in Lincoln, Nebraska in 1941. He grew up in Wyoming, though, where he served as a congressman. He retired there as well. He is survived by his wife, Lynn, and his two daughters, Mary and Liz. Liz, as you might recall, is a former GOP lawmaker. So wanted to bring you up to speed on that, as I know that there have been some questions as to why flags were being flown at half-staff at the White House. He passed away 2 weeks ago, I believe to this day, on November 3rd. Okay, now let's go to break here. We're going to catch our bearings, and I'll see you on the other side of it.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk here. I want to take us now to D.C., where there is a meeting of the House of Representatives. So let's go now live to the House floor and see what they are discussing today.
God bless our troops. As the global war on terrorism continues, Trump is reinstituting peace through strength, revealing war criminal Putin lies, insulting Trump with attacks on civilians. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Massachusetts seek recognition?
I seek unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Today I rise with pride, with gratitude, and with some bittersweet news. After nearly 8 years on Team Clark, Catherine Alexander, my communications director and senior advisor, is moving on to her next project and her next chapter. Catherine, affectionately known as K.A. to all of us, brings her incredible style, good humor, patriotism, compassion, and wicked smart strategy to all she does. It's been a privilege to have her in the trenches with me, from late night press conferences to early morning interviews. And it will always be my distinct honor to call her my friend. Thank you, K.A. You are extraordinary. May this next chapter bring you and Mike and Nolan and baby Jude all the happiness and all the bliss that you deserve. Thank you, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Guam seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute, revise, and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in honor of Calvo Enterprise, Inc., as it makes 50 years of service to the people of Guam. From its beginning in 1938 with the island's first locally owned insurance agency, the Calvo family built more than just businesses. They built opportunity for our island. Over the decades, Calvo Enterprise grew to include companies that became part of daily life, from Mid-Pacific Distributors and Pepsi Bottling Company to KUAM, giving our community a strong media voice, and Payless Supermarkets, helping provide food and essentials to our families. What we recognize today is not only business success, but a commitment to Guam through civic and charitable work, including the Edward M. Calvo Cancer Foundation, which has supported families during some of their most difficult moments. 3 generations later, the Calvo family continues to lead with the same values of hard work, integrity, and service to community, helping strengthen our island and create a future our children can rely on. To the Calvo family and every employee who contributed to this agency, thank you. And congratulations on 50 years of growing with Guam and for Guam. May the next 50 be just as strong. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Iowa seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is now recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to highlight the $2 million in community project funding I secured for Jones Regional Medical Center in Anamosa to build a permanent state-of-the-art medical simulation lab. For the past several years, JRMC has trained nurses out of 2 temporary trailers, and despite those challenges, their program continues to produce highly skilled providers who are urgently needed across Iowa. This funding will create a 1,700 square foot advanced simulation center that will allow more students to graduate each year and expand training for high-demand medical fields. This investment strengthens Iowa's healthcare workforce, supports our rural hospitals, and ensures communities across Jones County have access to trained, qualified providers. I am proud to have secured this funding and remain committed to strengthening healthcare access and training across Iowa. Mr. Speaker, I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Ambassador and Iowa's longest-serving governor, Governor Terry Branstad. Happy birthday, Ambassador and Governor Branstad. With that, I yield back.
The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir, in the wake of the late Congressman Grijalva's passing, it has been an honor to wave onto the Education and Workforce Committee and contribute to its work during this transitional period. With the recent and long overdue swearing in of Adelita Grijalva, I respectfully remove myself from the Education and Workforce Committee to ensure she can assume this role seamlessly. Signed sincerely, Yasmin Ansari, Member of Congress.
Without objection, the resignation is accepted. The chair lays before the House the following enrolled bill.
H.R. 695, an act to amend Title 38 United States Code to increase the rate of the special pension payable to Medal of Honor recipients and for other purposes.
Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess subject to the call of the chair.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Okay, I want to take us now live to the Big Apple, New York City. You're taking a live look here outside of Fox News headquarters, where, as you can see, they are ready for Christmas this afternoon. They've got their tree up. This is located on, let's see here, I want to make sure I get this right. I don't know New York that well. My sister lives there, but I do not know exactly where we're looking at here. Okay, this is at the Avenue of the Americas. It's also known as the Fox News Corp building, or the Fox building. And this is on 6th Avenue, in Midtown Manhattan. Okay, so now I want to see, when do most people put up their Christmas trees? So a lot of people will do it anytime from November to December. That's usually when people start. Like I know people who do it the day after Halloween. Other people wait until the Friday after Thanksgiving. It's sort of up to you. Let's see here. The thing about real trees, though, you got to watch out for is that they dry out. So let's see, what do most people... Okay, so according to a Good Housekeeping survey, most people put it up between the 2nd and 23rd of December. Oh my God, the 23rd of December, that is so late. But a common theme was 1 and 4, so 25% of readers saved it for December 1st. So that's a good date that people stick to. The 22nd of December marks the start of Advent festivities. Okay. So it's becoming an earlier and earlier tradition than what it used to be. Interesting. Okay. Wanted to get your feel on that here at home. Wonder if there's any other. I'm just curious. Let's take a live look downtown. I don't know if we can see this from this shot, but I know downtown Milwaukee is already decorated. Wisconsin Avenue has the chandeliers up. I noticed that late last week. Also, those gorgeous ornaments that you can see around Milwaukee downtown, those are up as well. People are getting ready for the holidays, and I think one thing that really gets me into kind of the spirit of everything is, quite frankly, the weather. We've got a winter weather advisory that is in effect for tonight. Let's take a look here at G1. Yeah, you can see kind of things starting to move through there. It's not going to be super impactful. Steph was saying earlier that this was going to affect mainly our northern viewing area, so think like the Fox Valley, Fond du Lac, that whole area. So, you know, for me, like, I can't decorate for Christmas when it is 60 degrees out or 70 degrees out, which it was on Saturday. Okay, so we're waiting for a couple of things right now. We're waiting for a presser. Okay, the president is meeting with the White House task force on the FIFA World Cup. Okay, this is exciting, but we're still waiting for that. So let's take a live look here at the White House. You can see, yeah, we're still waiting for that to kind of come in. The FIFA World Cup, I'm so sorry. Okay, the FIFA World Cup is headed our way next summer. It is a big deal that is coming to America. I want to get the details of it. Yeah, we're the home for the FIFA World Cup in 2026. This is huge for us here. Okay. So it's going to be held June 11th of 2026 through July 19th of 2026. It's going to host both men's and women's soccer. This afternoon, President Trump is set to meet with the FIFA World Cup Task Force at the White House. A record 48 teams will play, and it's co-hosted by the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. So this is supposed to happen. It was supposed to happen 22 minutes ago, so I'm sorry about that. On Sunday, we know that Portugal and Norway sealed their places at this global event. Norway beat four-time World Cup champion Italy 4-1. A total of 43 teams will earn places through continental qualifying tournaments. Another 2 will secure places in the intercontinental playoffs, featuring 6 teams and scheduled for March in Mexico. The 3 host countries automatically qualify. So Asia has 8 direct places and 1 in the intercontinental playoff. Africa has 9 direct spots, plus 1 for intercontinental playoff. North and Central America and the Caribbean get 3 direct berths, plus the 3 host nations, and another 2 spots in the intercontinental playoffs. South America has 6 direct spots and will send another team to the intercontinental playoffs. Oceania, for the first time, has a guaranteed spot. New Zealand clinched that back in March. It could add another with New Caledonia going into the intercontinental playoffs. Europe will have 16 teams sure to play in the World Cup. Okay, so here's who's already qualified. The U.S., Mexico, Canada automatically as hosts. Let's see here. Africa, Algeria, Cape Verde, Egypt, Ghana, the Ivory Coast, Morocco, Senegal, South Africa, and Tunisia. In Asia, Australia, Iran, Japan, Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, and Uzbekistan. In Europe, we have Croatia, England, France, Norway, and Portugal. New Zealand, we also have South America, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So, really exciting here that this is happening next summer. All right, so let's see what's going on ELC4 here. I see something cooking, and I'm very curious as to what that is. I'm going to cue this up here. Okay, so Delaney just told me that this is a House Rules Committee meeting. Let's listen in. Okay, I'm sorry. There's not a lot to listen to here. It sounds like all the mics are shut off. Oh, wait, maybe there's something on the other channel. No, okay. So it looks like they're just kind of getting set up here for this. So maybe this is something that Haley can get you in the second hour of the live desk. Okay, well, let's take a quick commercial break here.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. My name is Nicola Junowitz. It has been an honor and a pleasure to hang out with you for the last hour here on this Monday, November 17th of 2025. So I got two options here that I'm going to leave you with before Miss Haley Spittler jumps in to join you for the second hour. I think what we want to do, though, is talk about head to the sentencing. This is a really interesting case here of a former New Berlin police officer who was accused of misconduct and stealing DEA drugs. This is a massive story. He was charged with misconduct in office. So the drugs we know were provided by the DEA department. They were meant for canine training. Yes, he faces one felony count, of misconduct in office, acting in excess of authority. We know that according to the criminal complaint back in May of 2024, a New Berlin police sergeant discovered that certain drugs that were issued to the department by the DEA were missing. Again, these drugs were for canine training. As you know, canine dogs, very smart animals. They're trained to help detect narcotics. The sergeant brought the drugs to the training session in Fond du Lac only to find that they were missing. So they were stored in Pelican boxes within two steel boxes, The complaint goes on to say that the DEA issued the drugs to the department in September of 2022, and they were last used for training in November of 2023. The drugs that were reported as being missing are as follows here. We know that it was 28 grams of black tar heroin, 28 grams of cocaine base, 28 grams of cocaine HCI, 28 grams of heroin HCI, and 14.2 grams of meth. So that's 2 of the 4 bags. So this is no good. Okay, so let's listen in now to his sentencing hearing that is today. This is for, again, the case involving a former New Berlin police officer, Stephen Dodson.
Hey guys, Haley Spittler here, taking over for Nicola now that we are at 1:30. On the left-hand side of your screen there is the sentencing hearing that we are still waiting to begin of Steve Dodson. Again, that is that former New Berlin police officer who was charged and accused of stealing DEA drugs. I know Nicola just ran you through kind of all the drugs at question. So as you can see, we have our crew there. We are monitoring this hearing, the sentencing, and as soon as it begins, we will try to bring it to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Obviously, I know you couldn't hear anything. That's because the portion for that police officer has not yet begun. But we have a lot of things that we can take you to here on the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday afternoon. I keep wanting to think it's Friday, so it's always a little bit unfortunate when I realize it's just Monday. But that means we've got an entire week together ahead, so we'll look forward to that. A couple of other things we're monitoring here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. At some point, we are expecting to hear from President Trump. He's expected to hold a press conference with FIFA. Of course, the World Cup coming to the United States next year. It is a huge deal, so we'll kind of hear the latest there. Of course, you can also catch all those World Cup games right here on Fox 6, so we're gearing up for those games as well. It was slated to begin at 1. Sometimes those types of things do run a little bit behind, so we don't know when exactly it's going to begin, but we are keeping our eye on it here with the feeds, and we will absolutely bring it to you as soon as it does begin. But speaking of FIFA, makes me think of the Green Bay Packers. So let's take a live look right here at Lambeau this Monday afternoon. Very similar weather there that we're seeing here in Milwaukee, but we are celebrating because the Packers, they did it. It wasn't pretty, and at moments it was in doubt, but the victory was achieved yesterday in New Jersey as they played the New York Giants. So that's always exciting. I mean, it was a game where I got a little nervous. You never want to see your quarterback kind of leave hurt in the first quarter. Thankfully, Jordan Love was able to eventually return to that game, but their backup quarterback really stepped up as well, and they got the victory, which is good because otherwise it would have been 3 losses in a row, which we did not want to see. So we're back in the win column for your green and gold, which is always really exciting. Delaney, I haven't even updated you yet. Do you think I'm in the win column? Oh, it'd be helpful if I actually popped up Delaney. Do you think I'm in the win column or the loss column for my fantasy football league this week?
I think you won because I didn't get any updates, and you only ever update me if you lose.
That makes me sound humble. I did win, and I'm feeling pretty confident because I still actually have my defense that's set to play tonight, whereas the girl I played has already played all of her positions. So I'm currently winning by 22 points. And that's only, well, I say it's only going to go up. Technically, the defense can be in the negatives, but usually they're not. So I think we'll be good.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear the update, but I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I think we're going to really seal the deal with that victory. I'm also still in first place in my picks league. So we're very excited about all of that because we are going to, if I win both, forget the Wisconsin Live Desk pizza party. We're going to dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Where should we go?
Ooh, we'll have to think about that one.
Okay, I'll think about some options. But we also are already looking ahead, of course, to next week. This should be a really good one. Taking on the Minnesota Vikings. It's another away game, but it's that noon kickoff, which we know y'all really like. TVV, our sports director, Tim Van Voren, was saying, y'all really ask for these noon kickoffs. I know it's easier to get home, watch the game, continue on with your Sunday. You will get that again. And the game, again, right here on Fox 6. So we'll start our coverage 10 a.m. with the Fox NFL kickoff, 11 a.m. Fox NFL Sunday. And then the Green Bay Packers taking on the Minnesota Vikings at noon. 3:25. You actually can catch the Eagles at Cowboys. That should be a very good game. And of course, Sunday night, make sure and tune in at 10:30 for Fox 6 Sports Blitz. I always think it's funny. So I am a Chicago Bears fan. I know, I'm sorry. But I always think it's funny because when I first started my journalism career, I was in La Crosse, Wisconsin. So all my friends would be like, oh, is it hard to be a Bears fan living in Wisconsin, living in Packers territory? And I went, honestly, they don't really care about the Bears. They did not like the Vikings in La Crosse because you are 2 minutes from Minnesota. So that was the big rivalry there. And I feel like, I'm going to ask Delaney because she went to UW-EC and I lived in Eau Claire for a couple of years. I feel like it was kind of the same vibe in Eau Claire.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's always, yeah, the Vikings and the Packers is
The
much
Vikings
more of
was
a
more of a rival
rivalry.
than the Bears.
Although you never know this year, because who's in first place in our division in the NFC North?
I know. Who knows this year?
It's the Chicago. Honestly, it's a really close division, so I feel like this will be another good game. I'm sure TVV will join us later on this week, probably Wednesday, and get us all caught up to speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting to hear what he thinks.
I think it's exciting too because the Bears-Packers game, I think, is in 3 weeks. So this is a good little test here with the Vikings.
Oh, definitely.
But I was already, I was talking some rivalry talk with the newsroom today. So I really need the Bears to pull out the win because if you're going to talk, you really don't want to have to walk it back when your team loses. So hopefully the Bears got it. Or the Packers.
I hope the Packers, but we'll see.
That's why it
Still
works out.
Yeah,
we balance each other out. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll keep our eye on that one. And as a reminder, if you go into Fox Local, you should be able to find our As Seen by TVV submission form. This was that new segment we launched this year where if you have any questions for TVV, you can ask them. And that can be about the game. Maybe you have questions about the Giants and his trip to, they're the New York Giants, but they technically play in New Jersey. Maybe you have questions about him getting to interview players or the craziest thing he's seen behind the scenes. Any questions that you have, he is ready to answer. So make sure and submit those. He should be doing that pretty soon. I always selfishly ask TVV about my fantasy team, which I did ask him who I should start, Brock Purdy or Caleb Williams, a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, Brock Purdy wasn't ready to play yet, still injured. This week, he was finally back. I kept it with Caleb Williams. Regret. Caleb Williams is the Bears quarterback. Oh, Delaney is so fast. Look what she just made for us. She got us our As Seen by TVV. Let me pull it up. Just scan that to submit your question. But I did regret. Brock Purdy got like double the points than Caleb Williams. So should have trusted Tim Van Voren. So yeah, send him your questions. This week, he caught so many players on their way out of the stadium that he was talking to one-on-one. I would ask him what that was like. I mean, there's just so many questions. He's been doing this for so many years, and he wants to answer whatever you're going to throw his way. So if you want to do that, scan that code right there. I think he usually films these either today or tomorrow, so it should be a pretty fast turnaround for this week's question. So definitely get those submitted when you have the chance. I want to leave it up for just a couple more seconds because I know sometimes it can take a second to get your phone out, but otherwise you can always just Google As Seen by TVV and it should come up for Fox Local or on our fox6now.com, and Tim will answer those questions. Tim's the best. I've actually genuinely loved getting to know TVV through the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are not in the building at the same times. We've actually exchanged in person just a few sentences, but I feel like I've gotten to have full-on conversations with him through the Wisconsin Live Desk, which are always entertaining. And I was proud of myself. I asked a question last week about Matt LaFleur, and the next day I saw that he did a whole story about that question. So I felt like I knew what I was talking about just a little bit. Delaney was proud of me too. All right, hey, we're going to take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk because coming up, we're actually going to talk 41st year of the FOX6 Coats for Kids Drive. You as our community always step up to help the kids in need who need just a warm winter coat. I mean, it's cold. This morning was so cold. Even right now at 1, almost 2 p.m., it's only 43 degrees out. So we're going to get to talk to Operation Warm, who we partner with to buy new coats when you submit those monetary donations. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for that. Coming up here in just 2 minutes. Stick with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday afternoon. Time check for you. It is 1:46, and I mentioned it before break, but we are currently in the middle of our 41st year of doing the FOX6 Coats for Kids drive. We've already seen such generosity from our community when it comes to your donations, whether that be new winter coats or Gently Love winter coats or all those winter accessories from hats to gloves to scarves. And we're also seeing you guys be very generous with your monetary donations, which we use to buy coats through our partnership with Operation Warm. And joining us right now is Operation Warm's Partnership Director, Rich Lally. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Of course. Okay, so Rich, for starters, can you explain a little bit about what Operation Warm is and what you guys do?
Yeah, so we're a nationally active nonprofit organization that, as we like to say, we provide warmth, confidence, and hope to children living in need, and we do that by giving them brand new winter coats. We also do brand new shoes, and we do that all over the United States and Canada. And last year we provided, through our partners like FOX6, about 750,000 children across North America with a brand new coat.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. We know the need is certainly there again this year.
It's greater than it's been this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit to the need that you guys are already seeing?
Well, there's been inflation on and off a little bit over the last couple of years, so that's been a bit of a problem. But then, with some of the safety net spending that's been cut, a lot of people are having difficulty meeting their rent. They're having difficulty getting food. The first priorities have to be having a place to, a roof over your head and having food in your body. So clothing just oftentimes doesn't make the cut with the cost of living these days. So, but you can't go to school on a 20-degree morning or a 10-degree morning, as it often is in Milwaukee in the wintertime, if you don't have a proper coat. Then you end up staying home, and that isn't good. It's not safe. You might miss out on that lunch that you get at school, and you might even be home alone.
Yeah, I always say here on the Wisconsin Live Desk that a winter coat in Wisconsin is not a want, but it is a need to what you're saying there. Yeah. And you guys are able to get really nice coats for $25. Yeah. Talk about the quality of these jackets.
Yeah, so we actually have these coats manufactured for us. We work with a couple of different factories who make them. We get design help for these coats from some of our corporate partners like Nordstrom and TJX. The people who in those organizations who buy children's clothing, they'll consult with us to help us design and pick out the colors every year. So we have a whole new fresh color palette every year. We've got we've got dozens and dozens of colors, well over 70 different color combinations. They all have a hood. One of the features that the kids love the most is they all have a fleece lining, and it's nice and soft, and it feels warm. And the kids when kids get these brand new coats, they just light up. They feel like $1,000,000.
Yeah, I love when you were telling me when I got to meet you at the launch, kind of how much work goes into making sure these jackets are on trend. I mean, the kids, when they get distributed, they kind of get to go shopping and select what they like. And that can really translate to confidence in school as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why we say it's warmth, confidence, and hope. The warmth comes literally from the jacket, but also from the love that the kids feel that people care about them. The confidence comes from having something brand new. Oftentimes, these kids, all they get are hand-me-downs or things from secondhand stores or things that are donated in that way. And when they get a brand new coat that's got their own name written on the name tag, and they feel great. And when you feel great, you can perform much better.
Rich, how long have you been with Operation Warm?
Oh, gee, I started with Operation Warm in 2009, so this is my 17th coat season. I've seen our organization grow from about 100,000 kids a year to now we're serving with our shoe program, is in addition to our coat program, about 1 million kids every year.
I mean, I'm sure it's partly the ability to give back, but what keeps you in this role for so long?
Well, it's the ability to give back, and then the other thing is I get to work with a wide range of absolutely incredible people in local nonprofits and schools, with media outlets like the FOX6 people, with a number of corporate people. You all have a couple of corporate sponsors. I know Landmark's doing a fundraising effort as well, and you've got a couple of Steinhoffels and Feldco, where people are helping to collect the used coats. Of course, we've got a real bias towards the new coats, and your listeners can make a donation where their QR code was for $25, and it gets a child in the Milwaukee area through the Salvation Army a coat that has a retail value of $60. So it's a real, I like to say, it's a great value for your philanthropic dollar.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I was going to say, as of this moment, we have already seen $9,636 raised, which is incredible. I mean, for you, what's it like to get to see communities come up and show up and with their generosity for this?
It's fantastic. I mean, last year, I think the total campaign raised about $50,000. I know you all have your telethon day scheduled for this week, and I'll be in the studio on Wednesday morning. I'll actually be driving up from the northern part of Bears country, although I am a Packer fan, so I heard you're a Bears fan, so we've got a little bit of discrepancy there, but hopefully the right team will be at the top at the end.
Oh, you are too funny. I also was just thinking, I know people are always surprised by hearing 41st year that we've been doing the FOX6 Coats for Kids, but I know the need really is still there because kids grow so fast, right?
Yeah, well, they absolutely do. And, a child will go through 1 or 2 coats in a year at certain ages. They're growing so fast. And the other thing is, I mean, I've been to coat distribution events where I'll see a child who I know I saw them the year before because they're wearing the same coat they wore the year before, but a year later, if it's the only coat they have, it's not in very good shape. It's been put through the ringer. And a lot of these kids, they wear them at nighttime and in their houses because their parents can't afford to provide, to heat it all the way.
Right. Oh, that's great perspective there.
Yeah.
Okay, so almost $10,000. We have our telethon on Wednesday. Rich, anything else you wanted to talk about with Operation Warm or Coats for Kids?
I'll just say, if you don't have the QR code, you can do a text to FOX6 CFK, which is Coats for Kids, FOX6 CFK to the phone number 44321, and that'll text back to you a link where it'll take you straight to the donation page, and you can make a donation right then and there.
Yeah, and again, $25 buys 1 coat, so 100 buy 4, 208. Yep. They can do the math. They're pretty smart.
Yeah, and right now you're sitting at about the average donation's $100, so your listeners are very generous.
That is amazing. Yes, that is great to hear. All right, we're so excited to see, what we can do, how many kids we can help, because we want to make sure that every kid who needs a coat has a coat. Rich, thanks so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Yeah.
Right, Haley.
Pleasure to get to chat with Rich there, doing so much good through Operation Warm and helping out our community. Hey, while we were chatting with Rich, I did just see that President Trump is now up in the Oval Office providing that update with FIFA. So we are going to listen in here for just a little bit.
We have the draw coming up on the 5th of December here at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. 1 billion people watching the draw to find out who plays whom and where. We have 32 teams already qualified. Before or by tomorrow night, we'll have 42 out of 48 qualified. So a quarter of the world will be here, and we are looking very much forward. So thanks for the support, thanks for the great work, and always happy to be here at home, if I can say that.
You are home. We are. This is your beautiful trophy right there. Yeah. You are, and a big part of it too. Marco, would you say a few words?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, for getting the games, because this happened in your first term when the Cup came here, and it's a major undertaking. So we've deployed over 400 additional consular officers around the world to deal with that, in some cases doubling the size of the consular presence in our embassies in certain countries. And the good news now is that about 80% of the world you can get an appointment within 60 days. It used to take, half a year or longer, and now sometimes it took, now you can get in less than 2 months, where in places it took over a year. In places, for example, like Brazil and Argentina, it took over a year to get an appointment. Now you can get in less than 2 months. So our advice to everybody is, if you have a ticket for any of the games, you need to apply if you haven't done so as soon as possible. Don't wait till the last minute. Your ticket is not a visa. It doesn't guarantee admission to the U.S. It guarantees you an expedited appointment. You're still going to go through the same vetting. We're going to do the same vetting as anybody else would get. The only difference here is we're moving them up in the queue. We're moving them up faster. But my advice to everyone that's watching around the world is, if you intend to come to the games, you have to have a ticket. You need to apply. Apply as soon as possible. You're going to get your interview within 6 to 8 weeks, and move forward from there. Don't wait till the last minute to do it. Thank you.
Mr. Congressman, would you like to say something?
Well, first of all, Mr. President, none of this would have happened without your leadership securing this during your first term. I tell my colleagues all the time, this will be the largest sporting event in the history of the world. We expand from 32 to 48 teams for the first time ever. We're doing it with Mexico and Canada, but obviously the 11 host cities will be here in the United States, and it's going to have a $30 billion impact economically in this country. And so it has been a team effort by everybody, but I also want to thank President Infantino and obviously you, Mr. President, and your entire team, Andrew and Nick and everybody. It is going to be an unbelievable sporting event next summer.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Andrew, would you like to say something?
Sure. I think
we'll have somebody much more important.
much more important. And honestly, without her work, without Secretary of State Rubio's work in the State Department, this would not happen. And without your leadership and your vision, this would not have happened. I think 2 key points. One that the Secretary of State already highlighted. This is a welcoming message to the world without going around the safety and security procedures. It's so key to make sure that this World Cup is safe and secure, and the White House Task Force is working every day to make sure that's the case. And also, as Congressman LaHood said, the economic benefits for American businesses, both small and large, from a $30 billion event like this. So really, thanks to all the White House Task Force members, from Secretary Rubio to Secretary Noem. The 2 notice of funding opportunities that went out to the cities and states last month were really key from the safety and security perspective. To Deputy Chief of Staff Luna, who is integral in this whole process, to the White House Task Force members that are standing in the back of the room today and that couldn't be here. Without your hard work, this would not have happened, and I really can't thank you enough for really the best team I've ever been a part of. And also to FIFA, to the President Gianni Infantino, my good friend Carlos Cordiero. Your desire to make this World Cup the best yet, it's contagious. Every single day I come in and think, what can we do to make this even better? And Mr. President, your vision more than anything. I think it takes a unique visionary to be able to go and see a sporting event and realize that this can be one of the greatest cultural events in world history. And I think there are very few people, aside from the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, that can do that undertaking. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, if you're just joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, we were listening in here from the Oval Office as President Trump meets with the World Cup Task Force. Of course, the FIFA World Cup coming in part to the U.S. next year, 2026. So we heard kind of about the economic value that can bring to the states, how they are prioritizing safety, as well as if you were coming from out of the country to see one of those games in the United States, the visa process, saying that you'll have priority, but you still need to go ahead and apply for that visa. We'll keep our eye on this feed, let you know if anything else comes out of that task force meeting, and of course keep you updated here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Otherwise, we are going to take just a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk Crash Responder Safety Week with the DOT. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Live Desk.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's Haley Spittler with you here at 2:01 on your Monday afternoon. I'll be with you for about the next 30 minutes. Then at 2:30, Ben Handelman taking over, and we'll get you guys to 3:30 here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Today is November 17th, which is the beginning of Crash Responder Safety Week. And we are actually being joined right now by Wisconsin State Patrol Trooper Sink Bile. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, okay, so it is Crash Responder Safety Week. What do we need to know?
Well, first off, it's a kind of a reminder for all drivers to simply safety. It's everyone's job this week. Just a reminder, crash scenes can come quickly, can be very dangerous. As first responders are handling these scenes, whether it's law enforcement, fire, EMS, tow operators, or highway workers, we just need the extra space to handle these crash scenes.
Yeah, I know that it's not just common courtesy to move over, but it's actually the law. Can you speak a little bit more about that and what we need to do when we see those flashing lights?
Absolutely. Since 2001, the move over law has been enacted. It requires people to move over lane when they come across an emergency scene. And if they cannot move over, we just ask them to slow down at a reasonable speed, kind of give a safety zone for these first responders to do their job.
Yeah, and I know if you're unable to follow this, there's a chance for a fine. But really, the reason this law was created was because we need to keep our first responders safe. And I know, unfortunately, so many times they'll be, helping out at these scenes and they'll get struck. What do the statistics look like for that?
You're absolutely correct. Over the last 5 years, 73 emergency responders have been struck by vehicles working the roadside. And it's mainly due to secondary crashes that happen within these initial crash scenes. We see more than 700 secondary crashes every year. And in those crashes, unfortunately, 38 people have died.
Oh, that's just, so unfortunate. Here they are helping somebody and then they're hit. It's so easily avoidable if we as a driver can just get over, which is what the law is asking us to do, or to slow down. But I know it's also just important to be alert whenever you see flashing lights. What do you guys want from drivers when they come about a crash scene as far as paying attention?
All we're asking people to do is, like you said, common sense, but just be extra vigilant. Give extra space between the vehicle in front of you, hands on the wheels, and also put your cell phones down, because that's also a very dangerous thing to be having cell phones up, trying to video the crash scenes as they go by.
I think it's so interesting because we've now had cell phones for so long and we know how dangerous it can be. And the message of, don't text and drive, don't have phone calls and drive has been going on for years. But is that still a prevalent issue? Are you still running into that a lot with drivers?
Yes. Through 25 years I've been working while handling crash scenes, I know we see people all the time when they drive by. Typically the drivers have their cell phones up recording the crash scenes, which is a very dangerous behavior.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just pay attention, slow down, get over in those moments. Don't try and film it to show your friends or to send to us, all those types of things. Any other kind of messages you want to share this Crash Responder Safety Week?
You kind of touch them all. Move over and slow down if you can. Please put your cell phones down. If you are involved in an accident, a minor crash where nobody is hurt and the cars are drivable, just if you can, steer it and clear it, as we call it. Move it out of the way of traffic. That can hopefully minimize secondary crashes.
No, absolutely great advice there. If you don't need to stay where you're at and you can get to a safer spot after a crash, to go ahead and do that. Lots of good advice there. We appreciate you joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thank you for having me once again.
Of course. Have a great rest of your Monday. Just another reminder that if you ever see those flashing lights while out and about, to move over lanes. If you cannot and absolutely cannot get over, you do need to slow down. Just make sure that we keep everybody safe, including our first responders who are already helping somebody else. And I like that reminder too about keeping our phones away in those moments. Even, just your eyes on the road. Sometimes it's easy to wonder what's going on over there. No, keep your attention where it should be. Keep everybody safe. Hey, we're going to head back to the Oval Office. I see that President Trump is now speaking a little bit. Again, this is that World Cup task force, so let's listen in and hear what President Trump is saying.
Where it should have been all along, but because we had people that didn't believe in tariffs, they believed in them, but they didn't know how to use them, we would have had nobody leaving our country right now. And instead, you have almost 100% of the chips are made in Taiwan. It's so disgraceful. The good news is it's all coming back. Yeah, please.
Mr. President,
the gentleman in the back.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to just follow up on Venezuela. In these talks with Maduro, is there anything that he could say or do that would allow you to feel like he could stay with your support? Is there anything that he could say that you would be, okay, you can stay?
It's hard to say that. You know, the question's a little bit tricky. I don't think it was meant to be tricky. It's just that, look, he's done tremendous damage to our country, primarily because of drugs, but really because we have that problem with other countries too. But more than any other country, the release of prisoners into our country has been a disaster. He's emptied his jails. Others have done that also. He has not been good to the United States. So we'll see what happens. At a certain period of time, I'll be talking to him.
Mr. President, can I just follow up? You mentioned your voice and you were shouting about trade. Which country in particular upset you? Was it India?
No, a country wanted to try and renegotiate the terms of their trade deal, and I wasn't happy about it.
Well, which country was it? People want to know.
Why would I say that to you? Why would I can't believe it?
Mr. President, on the World Cup, if you would, Seattle and the World Cup. The new mayor-elect of Seattle is a Democratic Socialist. Seattle has
or beyond. I watched her.
Right, Seattle has
that's more than socialism.
Right, Seattle has 6 World Cup games. How close are you going to be watching that city with the crime in that city?
Well, if we think, and I'll have to speak to Johnny about this, but if we think that the mayor of L.A. is incompetent, everybody knows that. You know that I was there, I guess, 2 years ago, and we got all the federal permits taken care of, far more complex than the state permits and the city permits. And Lee Zeldin, who's a superstar, got everything taken care of. The toughest part, having to do with the fires, that should have never happened. If they let the water come in, it wouldn't have happened, right? Do you know that people aren't building their houses yet? I mean, can you imagine that? And if we didn't go in early on, Christy, I think we can say it. Well, the head of their police department said it. They were unable to handle. You would have had, not only did you have the fires, but you would have had total insurrection in Los Angeles. And if we didn't go in, and the head of, the gentleman, he said it, and he said it strongly, he said we could not have done it without the federal government. We did a great job. If we think there's going to be a sign of any trouble, I would ask Johnny to move that to a different city. We have a lot of cities that would love to have it, number one, and we'll do it very safely. So if we think there's a problem in Seattle where you have a very, very liberal/communist mayor, I would say, it's certainly beyond just liberal. I watched her over the weekend. Wow, that's another beauty we got there. But if we think there's going to be a problem, Johnny, can I say we will move? I don't think you're going to have this problem, but we're going to move the event to someplace where it's going to be appreciated and safe.
Yeah, well, I think safety and security is the #1 priority for a successful World Cup. We can see today that people have trust in the United States when we see at the ticket sales, we sold, record-breaking figures of tickets, almost 2 million already sold out of 2 million that we have been selling. This is because people, they know that they will be coming here and they will experience a safe and secure World Cup. This is the responsibility, of course, of the government, of Secretary Norm, of everyone, and obviously we will discuss. We are working together. We have a task force for this. And we must ensure that all fans coming from abroad or being here, they can experience a celebration of coming together of the sport, and this goes only with 100% safety.
We are Mr. President. All right, again, there's 1 million of me. That is so interesting. I've never seen it do that. We were just listening in, though, out of the Oval Office. Of course, that's the latest with the World Cup Task Force. The FIFA World Cup, the 23rd edition, will be next summer between June and July, and it's kind of being hosted all over North America. So it's between Canada, the United States, and Mexico. You heard President Trump there, as well as the president of FIFA talk about how safety is the #1 priority for those games. Also happening next June and July, Summerfest, which is going to perfectly situate us for today's question of the day, which involves a little explanation. We got our next headliner coming to Summerfest, announced earlier this morning. Muse is coming on Thursday, July 2nd. Pre-sale is going to start this Thursday, meaning you have 4 days, I guess 3, because it's probably in the morning of Thursday, to sign up for early access. We have all the information you need on our Fox local app and fox6now.com to go ahead and sign up to get those tickets, which I guess then does beg the question, Delaney, are you a Muse fan? What songs of Muse do you know?
I only know 2 songs.
Yep.
I know Madness and then Supermassive Black Hole. Is that the name of it?
Supermassive Black Hole, yes. I just pulled up my Spotify to double check. So I originally said I did not know any Muse songs when I heard this was announced. I joke with our digital manager, Carrie, because with all the announcements, if I know the artist, Carrie doesn't. If Carrie knows the artist, I feel like I don't. But he was like, yes, you do. So I looked it up, and I do know Supermassive Black Hole because Twilight.
That's how I know it.
I was going to say, not only is it in Twilight, dare I say the most iconic scene of that first movie.
I agree.
It's the baseball scene.
Yeah.
Because, vampires can only play baseball during what?
Thunderstorms.
Because they are so loud and so fast. Hard to get a home run because vampires can run.
Yeah.
That was me demonstrating. No, such a good song, though. So I definitely do know Supermassive Black Hole. I looked up Madness, but that was in a CSI episode?
Criminal Minds episode.
I think it was in both. But you knew Criminal Minds.
Yeah, I knew Criminal Minds.
Okay. I was going to say, I remember it popping up twice. So, yeah, Carrie's very excited. He had seen them twice at the United Center in Chicago. So now he can go and see them in Milwaukee.
I know. That's exciting.
I know. Okay, so the question of the day, you've prepared a Muse trivia question, which I, first of all, should have just not been honest because the first true or false question I knew because I anchored at 9, and I told you I knew the answer, so then you made a new one that I don't know, which is this. True or false? Muse's first album was released in 1999. I'm going to say false. I think it's before that. I think that they've been around for more than math. 26 years. Oh, maybe not. Oh, no. I'm going to go false.
This one is true. Their first album, Showbiz, was released in 1999.
What was the name of it?
Showbiz.
Wow. That's like almost close to the life of a showgirl, which is Taylor Swift's new album.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Okay. So, honestly, they're younger than I thought. Is that bad to say? I don't know. You know what I'm going to ask you next, because whenever we get a new headliner, I have to ask you who you're the most excited for, and has that changed?
No, not really. I still think I'm most excited to see Post Malone.
Did you see that Post Malone is singing at the Thanksgiving Cowboys halftime show?
I did not.
Yeah, so if you like the DCC, that is the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
I'll have to tune in for that.
They always are a part of the halftime show. It's Post Malone, so we can catch him there. And then Summerfest. For me, I think I'm still, I don't know. I am liking the artists that are at the smaller stage, but I'm loving Louis Tomlinson from One Direction and Russell Dickerson. Have you listened to that song yet?
I have. I did know it.
Happened to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did know it from a TikTok trend.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Russell, also, a lot of people were dancing to that song on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's a bop.
It is. It's a good song.
Now, you want to see him at Summerfest?
I'd go with. I'll go with you.
Yes. Okay, good. We love to hear that, Delaney. We also love to hear from this guy, Jason Calvi, working hard for us on his phone right there. A little headroom. We'll fix that. We're going to take a quick break, and then Jason's going to give us the 411 on the story that he's been working on today. So you're going to want to stay tuned. The Wisconsin Live Desk will be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday afternoon, where we really just have about 10 minutes left. You and I, then Ben Handelman will take over and get you guys to 3:30. But one thing that I have that Ben Handelman does not have in his hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk, that'd be a Jason Calvi cameo. My favorite part most days of Wild, when I can get Jason. First of all, happy Monday, Jason.
Happy Monday.
Okay, so you're working on a story that we've actually been following for a while now. We're talking Milwaukee police contract that still has kind of one more step. Walk me through what we need to know.
Yeah, the final step is it needs to be approved by the Common Council. So a big step in that process happened today. The Common Council's Finance Committee met and discussed this, and it was a very close vote to advance it, to recommend it to the full Common Council. The vote was 3 voting yes, and there were 2 that voted abstention. They didn't vote yes or no. They voted almost the equivalent of present. They voted to abstain from voting. And so now it goes on next week. Right before Thanksgiving, the full Common Council will have the opportunity to vote to approve, to confirm, to ratify this police contract between the police union, which represents rank and file officers from the Milwaukee Police Association, also represents detectives in Milwaukee. So that contract now goes, it's been approved already by the union members. They voted overwhelmingly to approve this contract. Final step now is the City Common Council signing off, and so that vote next week.
Do we have any indication how the Common Council might go?
Well, it's never been any time in the past, talking to City Hall experts that I've been talking to, they've never in the past rejected an agreement that's been negotiated through the labor process. So if they voted against this next week, that would be a first. But again, the vote today, there were 3 in favor and 2 abstentions. So I'm assuming potentially you're going to see those numbers increase when the full Common Council gets it next week, where people are going to vote yes, and you're probably going to have maybe some others that are going to vote present or abstain from voting. Just because, again, the city's in a tough financial place. The people that did, the one alderwoman who voted abstention explained that it's a really tough budget year for the city, and this will continue giving police officers raises for many years to come. So here's the deal: Milwaukee police officers, the rank and file officers, have not had a raise since 2022. That was the last contract that ran out at the end of the year in 2022. So we've had 2023, 2024, 2025. Here we are at the end of 2025 with no contract. Finally, here we are in November. That contract is getting close to being confirmed and ratified.
And walk us through what this contract really does entail, because I know it has the raise for the officers, but that also includes back pay for those years where the contract did expire.
Yeah. So they were working without raises in 2023, 2024, and all of 2025. So this will then give them the back pay, pretty much what they're getting is a couple percentage point increase each year. And so that will get them up to this new contract year starting in 2026, where again they'll get another raise. So they'll get back pay. We're talking about potentially millions of dollars here in back pay. But I asked the mayor, I said, where's the city going to come up with millions of dollars when you've had such tight budgets in recent years? And he said they had been planning for this. They didn't have an agreement with the union for some time, so they've been kind of putting money aside in case this happened, where they ended up going to arbitration. It was sort of the last step. They couldn't agree on this for years and years, and finally they went to arbitration. During the middle of that arbitration process, the city and the police union did mutually volunteer to agree to a deal outside of the arbitration process. So again, when you're in arbitration, the arbiters get to decide what to do, and it's possible that your side could lose. I mean, you could lose big, depending on what you were offering in the negotiations. So both sides decided to voluntarily strike this deal, which is now in front of the Common Council.
It was interesting, too, when we found out about this contract a couple of weeks ago. I know you talked to the mayor, you talked to the union, and really what seemed like a very big win for the officers with this raise, the union still wasn't saying they were thrilled with the mayor. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, the police union president, Alex, came out and was very critical of the mayor and said that, they were pretty much, it took a long time to get to this point. And he criticized the timetable, saying, "Hey, why didn't you agree to this much earlier?" And then, same thing with I asked the mayor about that, and he pushed back on that characterization and said that they were trying to come up with this deal. And again, at the end of the day, both sides win something here. Both sides didn't get 100% of what they want, but it still is going to be a debate for the Common Council members when they get a chance to vote and debate this next week in the full body.
Yeah, because again, this still does have one kind of final step it needs to pass through. But speaking about the police kind of union president there, I know he also talked about some of the benefits of this contract, including recruitment and retention. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Right. So one of the things that the police union has been saying for this whole year during this fight that they've taken public, they had a protest at City Hall. They had posts on their Facebook page and the like, where they were really criticizing the whole budget process and calling out the city for not striking a deal with the union for months and months and months, and again years and years. And so one of the things that the police union had been saying is, when you look at the numbers of recruitment, the city is failing to meet its goals. So the mayor's budget allots enough money for 65 recruits in a police class times 3. So that's 3 police recruit classes at the academy. Each of those classes would have 65 officers according to the mayor's budget. And when we look at the graduation classes, those numbers have been far less than the 65 per class. The couple that we've covered recently had 25 officers graduating, and then the most recent one, I believe, had 28 officers. So far short of that goal to have 65 recruits graduating the academy times 3 each year.
So obviously, Jason, we've been kind of working without a contract since 2022. If this one does get passed by the Common Council, how long will this contract last?
So this one will extend out the raises. So originally, when the city and the union were negotiating, they were negotiating a 3-year contract. So let's, again, go back and look at the math. So the last one ran out in 2022. So even though they're negotiating in 2025, they were negotiating 2023, 2024, and 2025's salaries. And so that would be the end of the discussion, and then they'd have to come back at the end of this year and come up with a new contract. But instead, what this deal does is it actually extends out. So it's not a 3-year contract, it's actually a 4-year contract. So they'll again get a slight raise starting in 2026, and that contract will run them through the next year as well.
Okay, anything else that really stands out to you with your story today that you want to tell us about here on the Wisconsin Live Desk?
I think just that struggle that you're hearing from some of the members of the Common Council who voted not yes, not no, but an abstention vote today in committee. I think that's going to be an interesting thing to keep track of, because speaking to some of the aldermen and alderwomen privately, they were very worried, where's this money going to come from to pay for these major raises for police officers? But again, the union says they needed those raises to be competitive. People were leaving MPD and going to other jurisdictions, other police departments. They said that those recruitment numbers were failing to reach the allotted goal, and so they say this is one of those things that they needed to help recruit more officers into the department, these higher raises. But again, some Common Council members raising issues, where are we going to get those millions of dollars?
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where it's valid points on both sides between the union and the Common Council. So of course we'll keep our eye out next week for that vote. I'm sure Jason Calvi will keep us updated with everything we need to know, right?
I hope so. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jason, for joining us on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll keep our eye out for his full story later today on Fox Local. I also wanted to provide just a very quick update. I know when Nicola and I had our kind of switch off, we were in a hearing that was supposed to be a sentencing hearing for a New Berlin police officer who had been charged with misconduct in office. This was for Steve Dotson, who was accused of stealing DEA drugs. That sentencing hearing has been postponed. We don't have a new date for you yet, but of course, once we do, we will pass that along here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Did just want to explain why we aren't going back to that hearing or didn't have any updates for you in the last hour. Again, that hearing has now been pushed back, and as soon as we know a new date or any new information, of course, we'll bring that to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are keeping our eye on this feed out of D.C., where Hakeem Jeffries is expected to speak to members of the media in a little bit. So while we wait for him to go up to that podium, let's take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is just about time for Ben Handelman to take over. I did just really quickly actually want to bring you a little bit of breaking news that we just found out about, and that is that the FEMA acting chief, David Richardson, is now departing from that job just 6 months since he's been put in it. Again, FEMA right now has been dealing with mass staff departures, some program cuts, and just a lot of changes to the agency. Of course, here in Wisconsin, we've been in contact with FEMA after all that flooding that we saw back in August. They did come in and allow for some funding for those Wisconsinites that saw some significant damage. So just wanted to pass along that breaking news situation that we just got in. Otherwise, we again are waiting to hear from Hakeem Jeffries. He was slated to start talking at 2:30. He's usually on time, maybe just a minute or two late, so we'll leave this up for you as Ben and I switch over. So after this, Ben's got you for the next hour, but it's been fun to hang out the last hour, and I'll be back tomorrow. All right, we'll listen in to Hakeem Jeffries.
Hey everybody, it's Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk, because I am just getting all, I'm getting all logged in kind of look here. 2:34 on your Monday, we're getting the week kicked off, so here, right on cue, Hakeem Jeffries is talking here to the media. Let's listen in as we're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll see where this next hour takes us.
Affordable Care Act tax credits expire next month, and Republicans are out of excuses. Because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of Americans are about to experience dramatically increased premiums, co-pays, and deductibles. In some cases, everyday Americans are going to experience their premiums increasing by $1,000 or $2,000 per month. These are working class and middle class Americans. Those increases will be unaffordable. Everyday Americans will be unable to go see a doctor when they need one. And yet Republicans continue to bury their heads in the sand and are unwilling to address the affordability crisis that is crushing the American people. This from a group of folks, these extremist Republicans, who spent all of last year lying to the American people, saying to everyday Americans that they were going to lower costs on day one. But we know under Donald Trump and complete Republican control of the House and the Senate, costs haven't gone down in America. Costs have gone up. Housing costs, out of control. Grocery costs, out of control. Electricity bills, out of control. And now healthcare premiums, skyrocketing, out of control because of Republican inaction and an unwillingness to do anything to make life better for the American people. The Trump tariffs have been a complete disaster. As we approach Thanksgiving and the holiday season, food costs are skyrocketing through the roof, and everyday Americans are experiencing thousands of dollars in additional expense. The economic policies of Donald Trump and the Republican Party have been a complete and total failure. That's why they were routed across the country, thoroughly destroyed by the electorate in state after state after state, because they've done nothing to make life more affordable for everyday Americans, and they've done everything to make life more expensive. Questions?
That's Hakeem Jeffries, who's now taking questions from the media and sounding much like the Democratic leader often does in Washington, D.C., as obviously a lot of criticism geared towards the president and Republicans. So keep watching this. I just want to give you a round robin of what we're watching here at this hour here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, as we are watching news from the White House. Right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk a short time ago, you heard the president talking about the World Cup, as preparations, believe it or not, underway right now, as that is the biggest event in the world as far as sports go, and it's happening right here in this country. We're joint hosting with Canada and Mexico, so the finals will be here in the U.S. Close to the home, a lot of happy faces in this town. Live look at Lambeau Field, as the Packers are flying back home today.
Player from the very beginning.
And, yeah, a big win over the Giants yesterday, who's not a very good football team, but that would have been a terrible, terrible loss if for some reason the Packers couldn't come up with a win there. So that was an important one yesterday. Tim Van Voren and our crew, they're on a plane. They're on their way back to Wisconsin, and we'll hear from coaches and that sort of thing throughout the week, as we're getting ready for some big, the next 3 games are against division foes here for the Packers. So make or break time for the season. This may decide it, as they're really in a dogfight with the top spot in the NFC North because of what happened over the weekend. This is a new live picture that's just popped up. It's the committee House Rules Committee business meeting. Sounds boring, but sometimes it can get fiery in this meeting, especially with the chairwoman right there. Let's just listen in for a couple seconds here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Chairman Lotta, Ranking Member Pallone, for being here. From day one, the Trump administration has worked to reverse the disastrous energy policies of the Biden administration, unleashing American energy production and reducing our dependence on our foreign adversaries. Finally, after 4 long years of failed leadership under President Biden, we once again have a president who understands that energy security is national security. Under current law, any entity wishing to export U.S. natural gas must gain approval to construct and operate LNG facilities, obtain multiple federal and state permits, and undergo a rigorous regulatory review. As if that process wasn't burdensome enough, the Biden administration announced an indefinite ban on issuing export permits to non-free trade agreement countries while it reviewed the climate impacts of U.S. LNG, surrendering to radical climate activists and effectively kneecapping one of America's most powerful economic and geopolitical tools. This legislation builds on the common sense policies of the Trump administration by removing unnecessary restrictions on the export of natural gas by eliminating the requirement for the Department of Energy to authorize LNG exports and instead giving the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission sole authority over the approval process.
So what happens in the Rules Committee? They talk about rules and different things, talking about energy right now in the United States, and they'll be changing things up, or at least attempting to. It all starts in these committees where they got to get a hearing here before it moves on to the full bodies if they do even take things up. Things can die in this committee hearing, or things can move on. So that's what's going on in Washington. That's a pretty good look at everything that's happening in Washington, D.C. live at this hour, as we do have some press conference from the Democrats, and then a bunch of lawmakers are in this room. But I want to bring it back a lot closer to home, because this might be the big story in the next 24 hours. We got weather that's moving on in. Now, this is not going to be a huge blizzard or a huge snowstorm, but we do have the possibility for some snow, and the timing is everything, because it could make for a messy commute in the next 24 hours. Our weather expert is getting ready. I see her getting close to the green screen. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll keep looking at all obviously the issue is not today, because it is beautiful out there today, a little cool, but the issue could be tomorrow, and not the amount, but the timing. So we'll talk about it. I got to take a quick 2-minute break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and on the other end, we're going to chat with our weather expert. Also coming up, we're going to go up to Grafton and talk to a former contestant. You know the show The Floor with Rob Lowe? Former contestants coming on here at the Wisconsin Live Desk, not to talk about The Floor, but actually a fundraiser that's happening in Grafton. but I'm also going to ask her about the floor because that's pretty cool. That's all coming up here on the Wisconsin Live Desk in the next few minutes. Stay with us.
Live Desk.
My people, my news nerds, welcome to the Wisconsin Live Desk as we kick off another exciting week. 2:44 on your Monday, and it's been action-packed since we've joined the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's been action-packed since I've jumped here in the room, as there's a lot going on in Washington, D.C. There's a concert announcement that just came across my inbox, and I'll share that with you in just a second here. In the meantime, we got to talk about what's going on outside. Not because of what's going on right now in the weather department, but what is headed our way. Live picture from downtown Milwaukee. It has been a gorgeous day out there. Yeah, it's a little cold. It's not the 60-something degrees that we had over the weekend where I was literally coatless outside. I was flying a kite because that's what you do when you have a 5-year-old. Yes, no, it's not that, but it is still beautiful and we got the sunshine. But we got changes on the way. And when we have changes in the weather department, you know what I do? I call up my good friend, weather expert Stephanie Barrichello, and I say, please come to the Wisconsin Live Desk because I've got questions and you've got answers. And here we go. We have changes coming, Steph.
You say, take a break, news nerds. Come on, weather nerds.
Yeah, bring all the other. If you're a news nerd, chances are you're also a weather nerd.
Yeah, absolutely. Wasn't the weekend so lovely? Even, Sunday or Saturday morning was so warm. You stepped out the door and just immediately felt the warmth, and we kept climbing from there. So we tied the record high on Saturday of 69 degrees.
Okay, I was going to ask you, did anybody hit 70? Because it sure felt like 70s
Some
out there.
hit 70. We were so close in Milwaukee, but did not quite get there.
Yeah, and now we're like 30 degrees colder.
Yeah, basically. We've spent the day in the 40s, and much of this week is going to be 40s, low 50s, which is a lot more normal than, of course, the upper 60s, but do plan on it being a week of, somewhat cooler temperatures. Biggest story, though, Ben, as you mentioned, is what we're going to see tomorrow morning.
This is it, right? Is this it out west?
Yeah, it's kind of elongated, if you will. You can see it, spanning across parts of the Dakotas on into Iowa. So we'll see this filling in a little bit more throughout our nighttime hours. We still have some time before we see some precip here locally. We're still waiting for these clouds to increase. We have a high pressure just north and just southeast of us, and it's kept the clouds west for now. So first and foremost, we need to saturate a little bit more I think that's going to take the rest of the evening, and then late tonight, potentially closer to 10, 11, maybe even midnight, is when we'll start to see some rain rolling in. But then that'll transition over to more of a wintry mix, maybe some slushy snow, primarily north of Milwaukee. A lot of this is going to be with us through, at least midday tomorrow, meaning your morning commute tomorrow, we will have mixed precipitation towards the north and some rain towards the south. This isn't the biggest system. In fact, it's going to have some bigger impacts north of us in central parts of Wisconsin where there's a winter weather advisory in effect, but it is going to bring us some somewhat messy weather. And as you can see right here, we still have a lot of sunshine, but starting to see at least a few clouds building in. There is some light rain out west near the Dells, but keep in mind their dew points are higher than what we have here locally. So it's not out of the question this evening to have a few sprinkles, but we're going to see more develop throughout late night hours, and that's what we'll see moving in. As you showed, earlier, there's not a ton more out towards the west just yet. But this is what I wanted to get to real quick, Ben.
Ooh, we got advisories.
Yes,
Look at that
winter
already.
Weather advisory. There you go. It's not for our area, but I think this pinpoints the spots that have a better chance to see maybe 2 to 3 or 4 inches worth of some very slushy snowfall. There's the possibility to see some heavier bands set up towards the northwest of us within this storm system. So it's kind of heavily dependent on where those set up. But here locally, I do think as far as accumulation goes, potentially Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, maybe up to an inch or slightly higher than that, and primarily on grassy surfaces. But we could still see some of that snow and mix as far south as Ozaukee, Washington, Dodge counties, and everybody else towards the south. We still could see mix briefly, but it will primarily be rain. So I would say just allow extra travel time for tomorrow morning. Again, this isn't a huge system. This isn't bringing us inches worth of snowfall, but timing is key. And even driving in rain is not fun. So watch Wake Up in the Morning. Check out those traffic hits. We have periodic traffic hits every morning, multiple times an hour, just to get an idea of how the roads are doing, even in spots where it is raining.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough that impact. It's all about the timing of this stuff because, it doesn't take much to have wet roads ruin your entire day and week and year if you crash your car.
Yep.
So be careful out there because some of this might just be a little slick in spots. Is everybody going to see a little bit of snow? I mean, will we see flakes or is this going to be an all rain event for a lot of us?
I think Milwaukee and south, this really is mostly going to be rain. So we're in the low 40s right now. Once we see the clouds roll in, it's going to hold our temperatures pretty steady. So Milwaukee may only drop to 38, maybe 39 overnight tonight, whereas areas towards the north will be a little bit cooler, more so supporting some of that cooler air or that will support some of the wintry mix and snow. But again, just to kind of show you, this is our high resolution model. Notice how overnight tonight starts as a wave of rain and then begins to transition over into our pre-dawn hours. I think this is a little bit later on some of the wintry mix, but 4, 5 a.m. we'll likely start to see some of the mix really confined to some of our northern communities, but it's not out of the question at times to have it switch over briefly. Now, Milwaukee again and south, we will likely have rain through the afternoon. Northern communities, this model holds it on a little bit too long. I do think the threat for any of that wintry mix will really wind down closer to midday, and then it'll be some lingering rain throughout the afternoon, finally ending by evening. So we're watching the morning commute, maybe the midday commute. Evening commute precip should be out, which is some good news, but temperatures may still be on the cooler side in some of those northern communities. So once again, just something to keep in mind for your Tuesday. It's not going to be as lovely as today, unfortunately.
Well, and some of us, I'm trying no rake November, where this year I just mulch everything. I get out my lawnmower, and you know what happened this weekend? My lawn was looking great. All the leaves were mulched. And then that wind came, and my neighbor had built this giant leaf pile right on the road. And today when I woke up, all of those leaves are now in my yard. So tomorrow, those are all going to be some wet leaves for because I was going to do it tomorrow, but I think now I'm going to wait until, can I do this Wednesday? We're going to get back to the sunshine?
Yeah, Wednesday may still be a little cloudy. We initially had some rain on Thursday, but in my afternoon forecasting, a lot of that rain is kind of, trended downward, if you will. So I actually dried Thursday out, meaning the rest of the week into the weekend is looking dry. And Thursday is actually going to be a little warmer too, potentially in the 50s. So I do think you will have plenty of time past tomorrow's mess to get all that yard work done.
How's your house looking?
Great, actually. I think the wind pushed it down the street a little bit more, so we got lucky. We did a lot of work on Saturday between, deadheading a lot of the flowers, and Justin, also my husband, mowed the lawn one more time while the kids played on the play set. We cleaned the garage.
It was a good day to just let the kids my daughter went outside and just disappeared for a little bit, at the neighbors. And then when she came back, there was a group of kids. And I'm like, I don't even know. There was a boy at my house for several hours. His mom never came by. He was just in my yard. That was just my neighborhood this weekend.
Same by us though. I saw so many kids just doing their own thing, walking around the block, and I would look to see if they had parents or a dog or something. No, they're just enjoying themselves on a nearly 70-degree late November day.
And those days are gone because those 70s are way out of here and we're talking snow. Yep. Steph, thanks for coming on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
We'll check back in if any changes happen with the weather, but we know you got us updated coming up soon on Fox 6 News at 4, so appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Live picture outside right there. Beautiful day out today. Again, we got the changes coming. Hey, coming up here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, SIP swap support. What does that mean? Well, we're going to get all the answers. 2 minutes here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, Ben Handelman here from the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're getting really close to 3 o'clock here, and it has been, again, an action-packed few hours here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. If this is your first rodeo with us, this is the show where it's got to be live, and we've got all these feeds coming into this room, and it's pretty scary that I have the ability to control these because sometimes I do screw them up. But I just want to show you what's going on at this hour as Hakeem Jeffries out in Washington, D.C. Now that the government's back open again, he's been taking all sorts of questions, trying to kind of pivot the direction of the Democratic Party now on what their messaging is going to be. So news is happening out of this press conference as we're watching it. On the Republican side, minutes ago, President Donald Trump was in the White House, actually meeting with members of the World Cup Task Force, as there's obviously going to be the World Cup happening in about a year from now. Shameless plug here, but you can watch that right here on Fox 6. It's kind of a big deal for us. But they're already planning for it, and then you know how things go with the president. He'll talk about anything and everything, and so a lot of news coming out of the White House after that press conference as well. A lot closer to home, live picture, that's Lambeau Field up at Green Bay as the Packers are coming back winners, and there's a whole lot of coverage that we've got here on your Fox local app that you can, I mean, Tim did great coverage live out in the Meadowlands out in New York City yesterday. Well, I guess technically they were in New Jersey. Let's not mince words here. I grew up in Connecticut. I don't want anyone telling me that that stadium's not in New York City, because we know it's not in New York City. So that's happening as well. Our coverage is going to get pretty serious too when we start Fox 6 News at 4. Oh, in just about an hour from now. But there is something I want to bring it back a little closer here to the Milwaukee area. It is pretty much the season of giving already, okay? Halloween seems like a distant memory. And if you are in Grafton, there is a really cool event that is happening coming up in just a couple of days here. It is called Sip, Swap, Support. And it sounds like a really fun and cool event, and I honestly don't know exactly how it works. So to figure that out, I'm very excited for our next guest. We're bringing in Julie Ann Mayday joining us to talk about this very, very cool event. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk as we're getting ready, again, holiday season. Here's a great way to give back.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Ben. I truly appreciate it. So Sip, Swap, and Support is all about sipping mocktails or cocktails, swapping clothes. So whatever you bring to this clothing drive, you can swap one item for another. And you're supporting Family Services of Ozaukee County, which is a food pantry in Ozaukee County that actually serves people that need food. Now, what's great about this event is that all the clothes that are donated to Family Services get sold, and then the money goes directly to the food pantry. So it's a great connection regarding what you're donating and then where the money is going, which I absolutely love. And I just have to point out that I bought this item at Family Services, and this is a Karen Kane jacket. So for anybody that is into the designer name, we know this is a very high quality jacket. And I think I got it for like $10.
Wow. Okay, you have such an interesting story, and I want to talk about this because you've had a whole career
Yes.
not in the fashion world.
No.
And now you have found yourself, I guess you call it retirement. It really doesn't seem like retirement because here you are following one of your passions, you're dabbling in the fashion world now. Tell me about your story a little bit.
That is true. You know, I do look so young to retire, but no, just kidding.
I would agree with that.
I'm 61. I worked at Northwestern Mutual for 31 years. Was retired in 2018 and decided to go back into the modeling world. When I was in high school and college, I did dabble in modeling. My dad took me to Rosemary Bischoff, finishing school, so to speak, back in the 80s. He invested in me time, money, gas, sitting there waiting for me. And after I retired, I was thinking, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to look into modeling.
Go back to something you did all those years ago. That's so cool.
Yes.
And obviously, this is an opportunity, this fundraiser here, for a way for people to really swap out their wardrobes here in a time when we're changing seasons, we're getting into winter here, and you can do this for cheap, but also this is an opportunity to do that while also helping people.
Right. So we're looking for either a $5 donation at the door, or you can bring a canned good, and the canned good will go right to the food pantry. So this is some footage from our last event. We had everything separated by the type of clothing, men, women, children. And there's me.
Showing things off. But this is a really cool space. So I've never been to Ember Social, but it's right there downtown Grafton, right?
Yes. And what's cool about that event is, or excuse me, that venue is that it's open. It's called social because you can actually go in there and rent a room. And that's how I met Rebecca, who I'm co-hosting with. We did a YouTube segment on her YouTube channel, Style with a Twist, on tall jeans. She and I are both tall. So anyway, that's how I was introduced to Ember Social Club. They do a bunch of different like chef events. They do trivia. They do a ton of stuff. So it's a really cool place. There's lots of parking, and it's right in the middle of Grafton.
And they've got, looks like, a full bar for all your needs there. As we were showing off just last year's menu, I assume there'll be a full bar going this year as well to have some fun out there.
And a bunch of mocktails too. Like personally, I don't drink, so I'm like, give me all that sugar drink. I'll take that. What's worse, sugar or alcohol?
So whose idea was it to do this kind of event? This is the second year you guys are trying it, and why did you guys decide to do this?
Well, this was my idea. So I met Rebecca through Milwaukee Fashion Week. I was modeling for Milwaukee Fashion Week, and she was there covering it for her YouTube channel. And it's something just, came to me and said, Rebecca, what can we do to give back? Especially involving clothes and fashion. And I'm like, what about a clothing and food drive? And she's like, sure. She loved the idea. And then when she and I met at Ember Social, I met Amy, and Amy was there just, what's the word? She was welcoming me into Ember Social Club. And after my segment with Rebecca, I was like, Amy, what do you think about having a food and clothing drive here? And she's like, sure. So
that sounds pretty easy.
Very easy. All you had to do is ask, right? And I did.
Yeah.
And we had a great time last year. And I do want to go through some statistics really quick because Family Services of Ozaki County has been around for 50 years. Last year, they were donated, or they gave out 748,000 pounds of food to people in the Ozaki County area. They made 7,600 family visits to people's homes.
Wow.
And they delivered 5,174 meals to kids at school. So they really have a huge impact on the Ozaki County community. And I always want to tell people too, everybody's hungry everywhere. It's not just in Milwaukee, right? So
I think
people need food everywhere.
There's a lot of misconception about that. I think that people think, okay, food insecurity, that's an inner city problem, that's a Milwaukee County problem. This happens in some of the most affluent communities in our state. Not everybody's living in the $1 million homes. Those numbers, Ozaki County, obviously great communities in Ozaki County, but the need is there as well.
Yes, and I'm super excited just to share, like when I go to the resale boutique, which is part of where the food is given out, the clothes that they have and the shoes that they have are high quality. I know Picardi's Shoe Company in Mequon, they donate all their samples that don't get sold to Family Services of Ozaki County. So you can get some very high quality, chic items for very cheap. And being a senior citizen, you can go on Thursdays and get 20% discount.
I've never thought of 61 as a senior citizen, but yeah, I guess you qualify for a lot of those discounts. So if that
kidding.
Okay, for your event coming up on Wednesday, if I've got things I want to bring, what kind of items should I be bringing to the event? Is this kids, adults only, different ages?
It's everything. Men's, women's, children's, shoes. Don't forget your canned good or your $5 donation. Come thirsty, because Amy Faluca, she mixes up some amazing drinks, mocktails and cocktails. And it's just a fun way to sit and enjoy and kind of just shop as you want. And I love the swap idea, because when you bring something, you can take something, and then whatever is, what's ever then there goes right back to Family Services. So it's a fun event, and I'm super excited to host it for the second year.
Yeah, we got to get this to grow each and every year.
Yes.
What a cool concept. I love how it all started with you just, like you said, meeting people you didn't even know and connecting with them and vibing with them and saying, we should host something, and here you guys are doing it. That is so cool. Not a lot of people do that. Can I ask you real quick about your time on the floor? Because it's one of our favorite shows. It airs right before Fox 6 News at 9 a lot of times, and me and Kim Murphy are always shouting out things. So you were on season 3, correct?
Yes, I was on season 3. My category was disco, and that actually was my category. I was interviewed regarding my category and what I really like and what I was into. So I'm totally into dancing and disco music. So I got to not only play that category, I won in that category. It was a life-changing experience. It was filmed in Ireland. So I got flown to Ireland to be on the show.
So cool.
I got to meet Rob Lowe in person. And that man, I'm not sure what the deal is, but he's not aged. I mean, his hair, his piercing blue eyes. He's not as tall as enough for me because I'm 6'1", but very charming, very engaging. And I met some amazing people that I'm still friends with. And I can't tell you, when I went on that the floor, every day that I was there, I was just lived in such gratitude because what a gift. And I didn't think I was smart enough to be on the show.
And then you eliminated a number of people on that show. How many different rounds did you win?
I actually was on the first 5 episodes, and so I went home after I lost to wrestlers, but I did do really well. Corey beat me, but at least I wasn't up there like, oh.
Yeah.
And I was ready to go home too because I was sick. I had gotten a cold and a really bad sore throat.
And
So
it's
when
not one
Corey
of those
beat me,
shows. There's some reality shows I know once you're booted, they still make you like hang out until the very, very end. That's not the case here.
oh no, you essentially every day you go to the floor, you have your suitcase packed because they don't know who's going to go. And then once you're eliminated, there is this really nice kind of welfare team that takes you from the studio into a taxi to, we called it the Loser Hotel, which was right by the airport. But I got to go to Mahalahide the day that I got at the Loser Hotel, and I love that. And if you watch Bad Sisters on Apple TV, that's where that was filmed in Mahalahide, and I'm like, oh my God, I was there.
Well,
so it was
what
a gift.
Cool experience. It's one of those weird shows because you almost want to hide for a bit, but sometimes it's impossible to hide. To try and make it, farther along in that show. You hope nobody picks on you real early. Right. So yeah, I love it. I'm so happy. It's such a big hit here on Fox, and I'm happy that we talk. Hey, if you've got questions about the floor, you want to talk to Julianne, this is the event you got to go to on Wednesday. I'm sure you'd love to talk about it.
Oh, I would love to. I have a bunch of pictures. I could wear my floor dress, which I absolutely loved. That was from Amazon, by the way.
Oh, that is cool. Well, here, I'm just going to pull the event up one more time. So, again, we need people to go out and show their support, bring their $5, right?
Yes.
So again, just walk us through the details. What time does this go from? And just run us through how this works again.
Okay, so it's at Ember Social Club in Grafton. It starts at 5, it ends at 8. We ask that you bring any type of clothing, even accessories, belts, hats, gloves, anything you want to donate, any summer clothes. We don't care of the season because when it gets to family services, they separate everything and keep it for whatever season is currently happening. Right now it's like fall, winter. Mm-hmm. So either bring $5 or a canned good or anything you want to donate. Come in, meet me, Rebecca, Amy, socialize, sip again some mocktails or cocktails, swap your clothing, and support Family Services of Ozaukee County. It's Wednesday, November 19th from 5 to 8. And remember, everything that's donated goes right to, all the proceeds go right to the food pantry. And I went over all the statistics, and they have Family Services or Family Share in Ozaukee County just has an amazing impact in Ozaki County.
Julianne Mayday, thanks for coming on. We might need to bring you back as our resident floor expert if we have any questions as the new season kicks off. But we wish you well on your big event, and let us know how it goes.
All right, thank you so much, Ben, for having me. You were a pleasure, and I'm so glad I reached out to you on TikTok.
I know
I'm old, but I'm cool.
Well, exactly. I still don't know what I'm doing on TikTok, so I'm glad. Yeah, this all started with I don't know if it's the DMs on TikTok, but yeah. We
have
made
a
this
great
happen,
voice, too. You have a very distinguished voice, and I have to tell you that. I love it.
Wow, I'm going to bring you back just for the compliments. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. How cool. Well, what a cool event they're having up there in Grafton. So we'll put all the details here on your Fox Local app. There was so much in that conversation. We talked about the floor, we talked about the needs up in Ozaki County, and so much more. So you never know what you'll find in the interviews here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm checking out the new feeds that are coming in. Got to take another quick break. We're going to talk. There's a new big concert that was just announced at Fiserv Forum. We'll talk about it next.
Is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is getting close to 3:15, 3:14, 41 degrees on what is a beautiful day out there in southeast Wisconsin. This is a live look from the airport as there is an American Airlines flight, it looks like, is waiting for, I'm not sure if it's coming or going. Ooh, there's a smaller plane. Sometimes you ever go to the airport and just kind of, there's a place you can just sit and watch the planes land, which is kind of fun. Or you can just watch the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll let you do that for free. But I'm bringing this shot up not to watch planes, but actually I'm looking at the clouds out there because the weather is about to change. And if you look out west, the blue skies starting to disappear a little bit as we are watching our next system come on in. And there are some winter weather advisories in central Wisconsin up to the northwest of Milwaukee, where we are expecting a couple inches of snow. And this will affect our morning commute here in Milwaukee. Now, the issue will not be the amount of snow. Actually, in Milwaukee, we may not even see any snow. We may just get a little mix. But we will get some rain, and this will affect the morning commute. So expect some slick conditions out there, just wet roads, starting kind of right as the morning commute's kicking off 7 in the morning, according to the weather experts, as we have been watching our weather very closely as, yeah, we may see some snow, especially, now Stephanie said if you live in like Port Washington or you're in the Fond du Lac area, you may see an inch of snow. And if you live off closer to central Wisconsin, north of Madison, you'll see even more snow, as that's the area that may see some snowflakes. Now, everything that's falling right now in southeast Wisconsin, we're not saturated enough. A lot of that stuff's not hitting the ground. You kind of see it's stationary and just kind of fizzling, and it's very light what's in Wisconsin right now. But that will change by tomorrow morning as our stretch of beautiful sunny weather will come to an end. I'm watching the stock market right now at this hour. It's not been a very good day on Wall Street. Dow's down 557 points. Part of the reason, bad day for NVIDIA and some of the AI companies out there, as they're just taking a little bit of a hit. And they're such big companies now that when they have a bad day, they drag the entire stock market down with it. So 557 points, a little over 1%, is gone from your 401k. It's still been a really good month, as again, I am no business expert, but I am watching what's happening out there on Wall Street. Just to, a lot of people tuned into that. We're watching what's happening right now at the UN as they are talking Middle East. This is a new shot, a new feed that has just come in. Let's take a listen. Always interesting to hear these different countries, or in this case, there's the International Committee of the Red Cross, speak as a whole on behalf. So we're taking to New York City. This is the United Nations.
Food security in conflict must be understood and addressed as a protection issue, central to people's survival and dignity, and the legal obligations of parties to conflict must be upheld in this respect. Mr. President, to truly protect people, we must link respect for IHL, protection of humanitarian access, and assistance that actively reduces risk. The ICRC calls on this Council, number one, to uphold IHL as a protective framework and urge earlier action. States must address the humanitarian consequences of conflict long before food security becomes an acute crisis. IHL must be interpreted in accordance with its object and purpose. Prevention requires full respect for IHL, not delayed appeals for access, which cannot compensate for systematic violations of the law. And number two, to treat IHL compliance as a political responsibility. This Council must lead by ensuring its decisions and debates reflect IHL's protective purpose and reject politicized or selective interpretations. The ICRC stands ready to...
That is the United Nations Security Council, a very powerful body, as they are talking about what to do in the Middle East, what to do in Palestine, rebuilding security, all that good stuff. And obviously there is disagreement between world nations, world leaders on this topic, as we're seeing just different countries now weigh in. Again, the focus this afternoon is on the Middle East. All right, I want to bring it back a lot closer to home here in Wisconsin, because just checking out my inbox, there's been a big concert announcement that I know Delaney is very excited about, our producer. Look who is coming back to Milwaukee. It is Weird Al Yankovic, Bigger and Weirder, 2026. Look at the date. I mean, they're booking things up for next year, because that is October of next year. Delaney, I don't even know if you know who Weird Al is. I don't know if that's like in your wheelhouse or not.
I do not know who he is.
You do not know who Weird Al Yankovic is. I'm not going to blame you on that, because, Weird Al is a guy who, he does like parody songs, and he's known for playing like the accordion at some. I mean, if you are my age, and I'm 40, it's like a big deal that Weird Al's coming back. Hold on, let me get the press release out, because Delaney, we're going to do some just teaching you. Again, this is just coming out. This is just into our inbox, so this tour has just been announced. Following the incredible success of his 2025 tour, the legendary Weird Al Yankovic will return to the road in 2026 with the next chapter of his record-breaking Bigger and Weirder tour, including a date at Pfizer Forum on Saturday, October 17th. Now, if you want tickets, they go on sale Friday, November 21st. So that is this week, 10 a.m. for a concert that is not until October of next year. Delaney, did you know that Weird Al has played to more than 500,000 fans? Did you know that?
That's awesome.
Did you know that he sells out most of the venues that he goes to?
I would believe that.
And again, he was really big in like the early 2000s, and he's still kicking it. Well, he played Summerfest like a couple years ago, and it's basically a comedy show, but also he takes his music pretty seriously too. So Weird Al is coming, which I think is pretty cool. There, I was playing with the box. I didn't know we could do this. This is a new thing where we pull up a graphic and I can see it. So yeah, that is actually a pretty creepy like poster that he's put out there. But again, if you want tickets to go see Weird Al, his bigger and weirder show, I'm just laughing just thinking of Weird Al coming. What do you think Puddle's Pity Party is? Is that like a group of clowns that come out? Like, is Puddles a clown? I'm going to have to YouTube that. Hey, if you know, let us know. I got to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll see what's popping up here on the Wisconsin Live Desk next.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. I don't know, I had to think about that for a second. We do have a Wisconsin congressman who just showed up. New feed from the floor. That's Derek Van Orden. Let's listen.
Do what we can for the families that were impacted. And, you know, I will say a few things about this. I have never done a resolution. I generally don't like to focus on resolutions. I feel like we're here to do the business of the people. In this instance, I felt compelled to bring a resolution to the floor on behalf of the people of the Hill Country and behalf of the families affected throughout the country, as the gentleman from Alabama noted. And it wasn't just that. It was our colleague from Georgia, Buddy Carter, who had family that were impacted by it, some who survived, at least one little girl who didn't. I could go through the list, but it affected many people in this chamber. The gentlewoman from Houston, from Texas, Lizzie Fletcher, who herself went to camps in the Hill Country and had constituents who were affected by it, and many others. So I felt compelled to bring this resolution to the floor, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But I do want to thank the leadership of so many people in response to the floods that ravaged the community in the Hill Country. And it's hard to put into words exactly how bad it was. 2 days after the flood, I drove down the river and with one of my staffers, and it looked essentially like an F5 tornado just ripped down the valley. 100-plus-year-old cypress trees that were just laid flat. There's so much vegetation waste that has been piled up. I think it would cover something like 100 football fields 10 feet tall. It's so much damage that was done alongside the river. And I raise that because there's so much recriminations and questions. It's not a political thing since the floods, but it is hard to put into words the momentous event that it struck at 4 o'clock in the morning on July 4th. And there are things that no doubt could be done differently. A lot of this is going to be played out over time in litigation and legislation. But that's not really the story for me. That is not what I will remember. That is not what I will carry forward. I will carry forward, and I want to thank personally the President of the United States, Susie Wiles, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, the leadership that engaged from the federal level to the state to the local level, Governor Abbott, the Lieutenant Governor, the head of the Texas Department of Emergency Management, Nim Kidd, the head of DPS, Freeman Martin, all of the leadership in Kerrville County, Sheriff Latha in particular, the people in the community that stepped up, all of the first responders, the Coast Guard, the gentleman from Alabama mentioned, all of these are people who responded and stood up immediately and didn't point fingers. They just got together in an emergency center and they figured out what to do. And they came together to deliver as quick a results as you could, saved many lives in the process, and then dealt with the loss of life that came from the flood. We'll manage through this as we go forward, whether it's in Texas, whether it's here, whatever policies we change, and that's what you do. That's how you learn and you make policies and you adapt. But I want to make a point about the things that we know are impacted, things that will never be the same. Those cypress trees that are 100 years old, those are not going to be the same for hundreds of years. The damage that was done to the community, the buildings that were ravaged, the little girls whose lives were lost, the people who were down there vacationing whose lives were lost, the camps that were destroyed, Camp Mystic, Camp La Junta, Heart of the Hills, that were destroyed and are now either moving or having to redo their entire models and plans. None of those things are going to be the same. All of those things are now forever changed. But there's one thing that...
Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. Okay, so we've been listening to some action on the House floor as they were discussing those terrible floods in Texas over the summer that killed a lot of people, including a lot of camp counselors, people who were attending camp, summer camp along a river in the hill country of Texas. As they continue that, this is a new feed I've got up. This is from New York City. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. This is right outside the headquarters of our mothership, Fox Corporate. And you can see they've got the big Christmas tree that is out there. They have not lit it up yet. It does not. They've got the trees around the Christmas tree lit up. I wonder if there will be a big Christmas tree lighting down there at Fox headquarters. I've been to the Fox headquarters before. It is a very cool building. Right in the heart and center of Manhattan. So, hey, thanks for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Look at all the stories here on the app. We'll continue covering the news for you. We'll see you same time tomorrow.
Of Oakland, was the best of Oakland, is the best of Oakland. His spirit is still here. My husband, who played sports in the Bay Area for high school and college, we were having a conversation this weekend about the fact that it was weird that we